The story begins with a female student named Akari Miyamai who suddenly appeared in front of her senior's apartment, Mutomu Shiragi. Akari told Mutomu that her older brother had made her collateral for his debt, and starting that day, Akari would be under Mutomu's responsibility. Mutomu thought for a moment there, and became a little worried about this. He recognized Akari as his friend, Subaru's little sister. He was shocked and asked if he had misheard about Akari becoming debt collateral. Akari calmly confirmed that Mutomu hadn't misheard, and she came as collateral for her brother's debt. The scene shifted to a flashback of a conversation between Mutomu and Subaru. Subaru apologized for not being able to pay off his debt of 500 yen. Mutomu said it was no problem and could be paid anytime. But Subaru felt bad, especially since summer vacation was about to start, and Mutomu might need money for dating. Subaru then said he had an idea. Subaru dramatically declared he would give something far more valuable than his life as debt collateral, and told him to enjoy it until he paid off his debt to Mutomu. Back to the present, Mutomu realized with shock that what Subaru meant was sending his own little sister as collateral. Mutomu invited Akari in and served her cold barley tea, intending to send her home after talking briefly. Akari asked for sugar for her tea. When seeing Akari pouring sugar into her tea, this made Mutomu feel nostalgic, because that way of drinking tea was popular when he was still in elementary school. Akari drank her sweet barley tea. After tasting her tea, Akari stated that she really loved the taste, which made Mutomu stunned when looking at Akari's face. Both sat down and talked. Mutomu commented that it had been a long time since they met, about 5 months since his high school graduation. He felt happy that they could meet again, but Akari must also feel troubled following her brother Subaru's silly talk. Akari emphasized that her brother's offer wasn't silly talk, and quoted the saying, "A penny saved is a penny earned," to emphasize the importance of that 500 yen debt. And because of that, Akari enthusiastically declared that as collateral until her brother paid off the 500 yen debt, she would gladly belong to Senpai. Mutomu was shocked by Akari's seriousness, and no matter how he thought about it, it was very strange. Akari misunderstood, and with teary eyes asked if she wasn't even worth 500 yen, and if Mutomu really disliked her that much. Mutomu explained it wasn't like that, just that he felt it was unethical to put a price on someone. Akari looked like she wanted to cry there, because he panicked seeing Akari about to cry. Mutomu had no choice left. He was forced to agree and asked if they could start right away. Akari immediately got excited and offered her body to be used as Mutomu pleased. Mutomu, who was confused, finally told Akari to clean his room. Mutomu thought to himself that by employing her, he could pay off the 500 yen debt himself. However, Akari seemed to have a different interpretation. She then hugged Mutomu and responded shyly, "If it's for Senpai." Akari continued her sentence meaningfully that she could serve Mutomu more than just cleaning, namely by using her body. Mutomu quickly clarified that he only wanted Akari to clean. Akari then fell silent hearing that, and she felt sad. Akari, who apparently had already brought her own cleaning supplies, she stated she would do her best. She also added the saying, "Haste makes waste," as a reason to do everything properly. 1 hour later, Mutomu's room had become very clean and tidy. Akari wiped her sweat and felt her work was sufficient. Mutomu, who saw his room, felt very impressed, and said his room was cleaner than when he first moved in. Akari, who heard this, felt happy and said she would clean this place every day. This was rejected by Mutomu, and he considered his debt already paid off. Akari was shocked to hear that. She started making complex calculations. She stated Mutomu's apartment rent was 60,000 yen per month, or 2,000 yen per day. She proposed the cleaning wage per hour was 1,000 yen, and since the daily rent cost was 2,000 yen, then the cost should be divided by 2. Mutomu was confused why the rent cost should be divided by 2 since Akari didn't live there. Akari continued her increasingly illogical calculations. She cut her wage with rent costs, electricity costs, and even Senpai's emotional compensation fee, which made her total wage 0. Mutomu became more confused, especially with the existence of compensation fee. Mutomu asked why Akari kept discussing rent costs. Akari answered that it was obvious, because she would start living there that very day, as debt collateral so she could serve Mutomu. Mutomu, who thought Akari would live at Subaru's house. Akari told Mutomu that her brother Subaru was on vacation to Saipan Island. It turned out, Akari lied to her parents saying she would study at her brother's house. If Mutomu kicked her out, she had nowhere to go. Right at that moment, the doorbell rang. Akari's suitcase was delivered to the apartment. Mutomu, who saw it, fell silent. Akari appeared to be doing something. She cheerfully showed her futon, proving her seriousness about living there. She, who appeared to be holding a hair tie, and removed her hair tie. With a polite sitting position, Akari officially declared, "Starting today, I will live with you." Mutomu felt confused by the entire situation. He felt deceived by those siblings. His best friend had money for vacation, but couldn't pay a 500 yen debt, and his little sister gladly became collateral. He even realized that Akari's delivery cost must have been more than 500 yen, feeling he wouldn't win arguing. Mutomu finally gave up. He then asked how long Akari planned to stay. "You wanna?" Akari answered, "Of course, until my brother's debt problem is resolved." Or more precisely, Akari corrected her answer and said, "Until my goal is fulfilled." When asked what her goal was, she answered that it was a secret, but she would tell him when it was fulfilled later, or you could say Mutomu would find out himself. Akari added that she wanted to accomplish her goal during summer vacation. This meant Mutomu had to live under the same roof as Akari for a full month. Mutomu resolved to seriously collect the 500 yen debt from Subaru. Cool air entered Mutomu's room. Mutomu noticed a change in Akari. Previously, she was a very quiet girl, but now she had become very pushy. Akari, who heard this, fell silent. She then confirmed that fact. With serious and determined eyes, Akari stated that she had to change to get the future she wanted. Mutomu, who saw this, fell silent. He saw that Akari was indeed serious about coming here, not to fool around. Seeing Akari's seriousness, Mutomu finally softened. He sighed and began tearing open the sugar packet, then poured it into his glass. Mutomu then looked toward Akari. He agreed to welcome Akari's arrival by toasting with their barley tea. Akari, who saw this, became confused. Mutomu told Akari that someday she would have to tell him what her goal was. After hearing that, Akari happily and enthusiastically agreed. Both toasted with smiles on their faces, marking the beginning of their unusual life together. With that incident, an unusual summer vacation for Mutomu with a high school girl connected by a 500 yen debt, Akari, while drinking her very sweet tea, said she would stay forever. Mutomu Shiragi, a college student, lamented his fate. His best friend's little sister, Akari-chan, was sent to his apartment as collateral for a 500 yen debt, and now they would live together. Mutomu couldn't believe that just because he lent 500 yen, he now had to live with his best friend's little sister. Meanwhile, Akari cheerfully asked Senpai what she should do next after finishing cleaning. The weather today looks so bright. Akari enthusiastically stated she would prepare dinner and headed straight to the refrigerator. Mutomu tried to stop her, but it was too late. Akari opened the refrigerator and asked what Mutomu usually ate. Mutomu shamefully answered that he usually only ate convenience store bento. Akari announced she would hold a pop quiz. The question was, "What is severely lacking in your diet, senpai?" Mutomu thought for a moment and guessed vegetables. Akari firmly stated his answer was wrong. Akari then held both of Mutomu's hands and would give the correct answer. Akari revealed the correct answer was home-cooked meals made by a woman. Mutomu, who was shocked, could only shout, "How would I know that?" Because of that, Akari immediately pulled Mutomu's hand. Mutomu asked where to, which was answered by Akari that they would go shopping. They arrived at a supermarket. Akari stated their purpose was to shop for food ingredients. It was visible that people started paying attention to them. While shopping, Akari, who had changed into casual clothes, still attracted the attention of other visitors who praised her beauty. Akari wondered about what dish she would make, while Mutomu thought that even wearing ordinary clothes, a pretty girl still attracted attention. Noticing the pile of vegetables that were on sale, Akari immediately took them and put them in the cart. Mutomu commented that Akari looked like she was already used to shopping. Akari explained that her dream since elementary school was to become the best wife. For her, who had that dream, the kitchen and supermarket were battlefields. Akari enthusiastically compared this shopping activity to a battle to attack Senpai's shopping bag. She prepared as if she was going to shoot holes in that shopping bag. Mutomu, who heard that analogy, felt it sounded very dangerous and asked her to do it gently. They then went home. The time they spent seemed to pass so quickly. After finishing cooking, Akari proudly served her specialty dish, tomato curry smothered with love. Mutomu looked impressed as he was about to eat it. Akari then invited Mutomu to eat immediately while it was still warm. Mutomu would taste the food. After the first bite, Mutomu immediately praised the deliciousness of Akari's cooking. He tasted the combination of spicy flavor from the spices, melting meat, and the sour taste of tomatoes spreading in his mouth. Akari looked very relieved and happy to hear it. Akari would also taste her food, starting with one spoonful, which made Akari look like she was enjoying the food. While enjoying his food, Mutomu pondered. He felt relieved that Akari looked happy, but he was still confused why Akari was so enthusiastic about living at his place. Mutomu began speculating about Akari's real purpose. He remembered Akari's words about wanting to become the best wife and having to change. Mutomu suspected that Akari might be using the debt collateral excuse to be able to practice being a wife with him, her brother's friend who was considered harmless and trustworthy. While Mutomu was daydreaming, Akari told him there was a grain of rice stuck near his lips. She then approached and took the rice with her finger, then ate it. This sudden action made Mutomu very shocked and flustered. He reminded himself not to get carried away by inappropriate feelings. After finishing eating and saying thank you, Mutomu then lay down on his bed. He said somehow it felt very strange, and admitted that even though at school they only greeted each other and didn't chat at all, but Akari said she had always been looking forward to this day. Akari, who looked surprised when her name was called. She then intended to wash the dirty dishes. Mutomu tried to stop her because Akari had already cooked for him, but Akari insisted. She said she just wanted to show her usefulness, so Mutomu didn't need to worry. Hearing that, Mutomu then approached Akari. Mutomu sincerely praised Akari, saying that if he could eat food this delicious every day, he would be very happy. Akari, who heard this, fell silent for a moment. Mutomu also said that Akari-chan will definitely become the best wife. Hearing that praise, Akari was so shocked that her hand slipped and almost dropped the plate. Mutomu, who panicked seeing this, he immediately asked if Akari was okay. Akari answered that she was fine and the plate didn't break. Mutomu didn't believe it just like that and reached for Akari's hand to check it. He told Akari to show her hand to him. Akari, who looked so embarrassed there. Mutomu was shocked because Akari's hand felt very hot and asked what happened. Being stared at and having her hand held by Mutomu, Akari couldn't contain her feelings and started crying. Mutomu panicked and apologized, thinking he had hurt Akari by suddenly holding her hand. However, Akari explained that it didn't hurt at all. She felt suffocated and her chest was beating very fast. Hearing that, Mutomu thought Akari was having a heart attack and was about to call an ambulance. Akari stopped him and said this was another disease. She then asked for first aid from Mutomu, namely by patting her head. Hearing that made Mutomu confused. Akari explained that her brother, Subaru, always did that to her too. This made Mutomu a bit flustered, although hesitant. Mutomu complied with Akari's request and patted her head. Akari looked like she was really enjoying the head pat and murmured, "I feel like I'm going to die." Mutomu, who heard this, became worried, thinking his action was actually making things worse. Akari then held Mutomu's hand, then pressed Mutomu's warm hand to her cheek and smiled while saying, "You're so warm, senpai." Mutomu, who heard this, blushed. Mutomu, who felt this was dangerous and tried not to get carried away by feelings, tried to stop, but Akari said no. She asked Mutomu to pat her again. Akari then gave another idea, namely giving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation so she could get better. This made Mutomu panic even more. Mutomu asked if Subaru also did that, and Akari answered, correct. Seeing Mutomu's reaction, Akari then realized. She admitted with a red face that the kiss request was just a joke. She felt stupid for being too hasty until she forgot herself. Mutomu, who looked relieved there, seeing that the situation was a bit calm, he then laughed and said Akari seemed to be fine. Hearing that, Akari also laughed and apologized for making a mess. She then playfully blamed her senpai for making her cry and sweat. Mutomu could only respond with shock. Eh? My fault? Because she felt sweaty and tired, Akari asked permission to borrow Mutomu's bathroom, which Mutomu allowed. After Akari entered the bathroom, Mutomu, who also felt very tired after all those incidents, he pondered that he had succeeded in winning against temptation, but then realized the implications of a girl taking a bath in his house. Mutomu then panicked about that. The story closed with a scene of Akari taking off her clothes in the bathroom, stating that Mutomu's battle continues, and the story continued.